If you're ready for a campy sci-fi adventure, you should check out Space Wars Quest for the Deepstar. Let's talk about it now. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Space Wars Quest for the Deepstar, which is coming to theaters on April 21st, 2023, limited run, so it might not be in your area, but if it's not, check it out on May 2nd, 2023 on digital, and it's also coming to DVD on May 9th, 2023. It is a fun, kind of campy sci-fi indie film that has a lot of heart, a lot of fun, and a really interesting cast of characters. My hot take is, look, I think you should rent it. It's not a great film, but it has a campy 90s or 80s space opera feel and just a fun overall premise and a really crazy cast of characters that makes it an overall entertaining, low budget sci-fi experience. Look, I was just smiling throughout. Like, everything is a little bit more over the top. It reminded me a lot of some like older TV shows, like sci-fi TV shows. It reminded me of some like classic movies. It just is a lot of fun. So even though it's not like an amazing film, it's not like a crazy blockbuster, it is definitely an enjoyable one and one you should definitely check out. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't want to know what happens in this film, I will turn it off at the ending section, but don't worry, I will give you plenty of warning before that happens. And before that, I'll keep it vague so you can keep watching and just get my thoughts. So in Space Wars Quest for the Deepstar, you have father-daughter team Kip and Taylor, who are kind of, they're like space privateers, like space hustlers, I guess. They used to be very well off, but they lost all their money in a tragic accident, and now they're just kind of trying to get by, trying to do enough small jobs to try to keep their ship running and build up enough money for this big purchase that they need to make. And because they are just kind of like just getting by, their reputation is not great, and they get the ire of some very bad people, and this is especially amplified when they try to go for this one big score. So things I liked about this movie: the first, it has a sense of style. Like, I really liked just kind of how this felt like an older 90s type movie. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but that's how I saw it. Like, you had a bunch of panels that had lights. It felt like Star Trek, some made for TV sci-fi films, things like that. Like, it definitely feels like an indie film and an indie kind of like sci-fi movie that has a ton of heart. I love just the way that, like, the costumes, they all worked, but they all felt like a little bit, I don't know, thrown together. This sounds harsh, but it's not. Like, I love, Kip wears this like leather jacket with this collar that it fits perfectly for this like larger than life space pirate. A lot of the characters wear black. A lot of the characters wear these kind of like sometimes ridiculous space outfits. There's one character who has like a fur hat with a scorpion on top that just feels so out there, but also feels right at home in this world. Like, one of the early characters that you meet wears this almost like a wizard outfit with like horns. It definitely has the right feeling for this movie, and it really evokes some like older sci-fi films. You can even see this in the poster. The poster feels like something out of like an 80s sci-fi book, or like something you would like something I read when I was a kid and just like loved. And so I definitely appreciated that about this movie. The second thing I loved is there's just some ridiculous characters. Like, the characters are all over the top and all very fun, but they have some depth. It's not like they're all one-dimensional. Each character seems to have a little bit of depth and whatnot. So it's not, there are some characters where their motivations, you kind of wonder. There's some characters that kind of go through some shifts, but overall, like, you just have some over-the-top personalities, which fits perfectly with the kind of overall feeling of this movie. The third thing I loved is the music is really great. Like, it definitely evokes that kind of older feel with like bright horns and like bright orchestral music, exciting music, especially during some of the big scenes, like epic fights and or space battles. Like, you definitely get this music that blares in and really sells the overall feel to you. And the last thing I loved is, look, it's just a lot of fun. Like, you can tell that the cast had a lot of fun making this film. You can tell that there's a sense of love in this movie and a sense of just kind of enjoyment with everyone about it, and it bleeds through. Like, I loved kind of just the overall feel of it. I love just kind of like seeing everything out there, seeing kind of like some of the crazier costumes, seeing, some of the effects that they had. It just overall had this feeling of fun that I don't know if you get as much, especially in like some indie films like this. There's nothing serious about this. It is overall just kind of a fun sci-fi adventure. So all that being said, things I didn't love as much. The first, there's some not great delivery, and you're gonna get that in an indie film. There's one character specifically that is not very good with the delivery, and it happens, but it definitely kind of like takes you out if you've got an interchange and you're just kind of like having trouble believing some of the characters. Now, it's not a big deal. It happens occasionally, but it is something that kind of jumped out at me. The second thing I did not love as much, and this is understandable for an indie film, some of the effects are not great. Like they are big and they are bold. It feels almost like a 90s video game, some of the effects that I saw, or like a 90s TV show. You can definitely tell that they're computer generated. You can definitely tell that they are out there. And they do help with the overall story. And again, they help with the feel, but there are some effects that are not that great. And so again, it's not a big deal. It didn't hurt my enjoyment, but it is definitely something I noticed and something that is very, very noticeable. But to be fair, it does fit with the overall feeling of this film. And okay, it's an indie film. They wanted to do a big sci-fi movie. I think the CG route that they went is probably better than some of the prosthetics that they could have gotten in a similar budget. So I think it makes sense for this movie, but it is definitely something that's noticeable. And the last thing I didn't love is there is some character shifts that happen right at the end that I did not love. There was one character specifically that I really liked that had an abrupt character shift right at the end that kind of changed how you felt about that character. And so um, it just felt kind of like it came out of nowhere. But again, it's fine. It didn't hurt my overall enjoyment of the film. So that is Space Wars: Quest for the Deep Star. It's in theaters on April 2nd. It's in theaters on April 21st, 2023, and on digital May 2nd, 2023, and DVD on May 9th, 2023. I'm going to go into the ending. So if you don't want to know what happens in this film, I would turn it off now. But if you want to keep going, just know that there will be spoilers. So like I said, in Space Wars: Quest for the Deep Star, you have Kip and Taylor, who are kind of like space hustlers. They are just going through trying to like get as much money as they can so that they can bring back Kip's wife and Taylor's mom and make their family complete. She died in a crash that happened earlier. And in this world, if someone is recently deceased, you can like extract their soul into something called essence. It's this vial with like blue liquid in it that has their soul. And you can transfer that into a human cyborg, and that will like essentially revive them. They'll be back to life. Their soul will be in there, but it is very, very expensive. And so when this crash happened, Kip couldn't afford to bring his wife all the way back, so they just have her essence, and they're trying to build up the money to transfer her into a like cyborg and complete their family. And that leads them to kind of hustle on this space station. They anger someone and they have to leave abruptly. Now, after they leave, they do like one last hyper jump to get out there, and they end up right at this abandoned space station. And that space station happens to contain this person named Jackie, who seems to have this secret knowledge to map to this long lost ship called the Deep Star. That's why the film is Space Wars: Quest for the Deep Star. The Deep Star is this ship that was lost a long time ago that is said to have all these treasures, and Jackie thinks she might know where to go. Now, this would set them up for life. This would set Kip and Taylor up. They would be able to revive their lost family member and complete their family. So they say, you know what, we're going to go for it. Unfortunately, they are not the only ones looking for this ship. There's a band of mercenaries called Dykstra, Nina, and Wade, and they are also after the Deep Star. They're trying to secure it so they can get the money, get the salvage rights, and they want this big payday also. So you have these kind of like competing interests, both trying to get the Deep Star, both going back and forth. Eventually, Taylor gets kidnapped by that group. Eventually Taylor gets kidnapped by that group, and they go off to find the Deep Star, leaving Kip and Jackie in a ship that's about to blow up. They are able to fix it. They're able to kind of like get it running, and they also pursue. But because of this, Taylor and one of the characters, Wade, end up on the planet first. They get down there. They're looking for the Deep Star. They've got this like distress beacon, so they should be able to locate it. And when they locate it, these like strange people from the Deep Star show up. They feel like they're a little off. It's like they're human, but they are acting strange. They're speaking strange. They lead them back to their camp, where you find that Dykstra and Nina are there first. I don't know how they got there first, because Wade and Taylor left first. They had the beacon. They should have been able to track it. Dykstra and Nina got there first. Okay, whatever. It's fine. It makes for an exciting part. So they're there first, but you also find out that this monster was in the Deep Star also, and it was, I guess, the treasure the Deep Star was holding. It's not like actual treasure. It is this unique space creature that is able to consume individuals and then like either project them mentally or like recreate them, except they are now controlled by it, because when it consumes someone, then that person appears and they're controlled by this monster. So then that monster can exert its influence, do what it needs to. It ate the crew of the Deepstar, and that's why those 2 Deepstar crew members were out there leading Taylor and Wade to this cave. Unfortunately for Nina, it eats Nina pretty early. So after Nina gets eaten, Dykstra runs off and somehow gets back to the ship that so after Nina's eaten, Dykstra runs off. Somehow he gets back to the ship with Kip and Jackie. I don't know how. He gets there really quickly. So now you just have Wade and Taylor and this monster. And they run, they get out of this cave, and when they get outside, the monster doesn't appear to like the light. It wants to live in the darkness. They seem like they'd be safe. They've escaped the monster. They found the Deepstar. Unfortunately, there's no treasure. But then Wade has a kind of turn. And so Wade and Taylor, even though they were enemies, they kind of bonded over the fact they both lost their mothers. Wade lost his mother when he was young. Taylor lost her mother recently when there was a crash. And so that was one of the things that they bonded over. And Wade had been keeping Taylor's mother's essence in his pocket for like insurance, to like make sure that she didn't do anything bad. Now, after they get out of here, after they get out of the cave and the monster's like at the mouth of the cave, Wade takes the essence and just chucks it into the monster's mouth. And they're like, what? That was very random. Well, I guess Wade had actually killed his own mother. He only told half the story. She had died. She was like sick. She was crying. And Wade ended up killing her just to shut her up. And he found out he was very good at that. So now he wants to kill Taylor's mother for some reason. Taylor doesn't like this. So Taylor and Wade get into a fist fight. Now, at the same time, up in the spaceship, you have Kip and Jackie, who are kind of trying to find Taylor, trying to like rescue her. But unfortunately for them, Dykstra shows up. Somehow he got from the planet to the ship very, very quickly. Dykstra shows up with a gun. And so now Dykstra and Kip are fighting in parallel with Wade and Taylor. And so it's actually a pretty fun kind of like parallel fight scenes. I think it goes on a little bit too long because there's not a ton of variety in the fight, but you've got Taylor and Wade fist fighting while the like monster from the cave is trying to like grab them to eat them. And then you also have Kip and Dykstra like fighting up top while the ship, while Jackie's trying to like control the ship and while they are being pursued by someone who like is shooting at the ship. So you have this kind of fun, big end moment where all this fighting is happening. And eventually Taylor bests Wade, and you find out that Taylor is actually a cyborg. So during the fight, Wade pulls out a knife and he slashes Taylor in the stomach. And you look down and you see like underneath her skin, there's like metal chips. And so Taylor was also a cyborg. She had been revived by this essence process. But unfortunately for her and for Kip, they only had enough money to fully revive Taylor and get the essence for the mother. But Taylor is a cyborg. Once this happens, she just beats up Wade, gets him into the monster eats him. That fight's done. Up top, Kip and Dykstra are fighting, and they go back and forth. And eventually, because of all the chaos, because there's gunfire happening, because they're being pursued by someone else, eventually Kip is able to get a gun and point it at Dykstra. And Dykstra's like, I yield. And Kip's like, boom, boom, takes out Dykstra. So yay, the good guys have won. All the bad guys are gone. The good guys won. Unfortunately for Kip and Jackie, they still have someone pursuing them. It's the person that they swindled at the very start, the person that Kip and Taylor swindled at the very start of the adventure. She is out for blood, and so she is pursuing them. They tell her to stop, and she's like, no, like, I'm not going to stop until you're dead. It's like, great, then I'm going to stop. And they fully stop their ship. Their ship has a really powerful shield at the back, and so she's pursuing them. They fully stop. Boom. She runs into them. She blows up. Their ship is fine. So now all the good guys have succeeded. They've all won. They've all lived. So Kip and Jackie fly down to the planet. They see Taylor, pick her up, and Taylor has to then break the news that the mother is gone. But luckily for them, luckily for the family, even though her essence was consumed, this monster is able to like project things that it consumes. And so while she's saying this, while she's crying, her mom appears and they have a sweet like family reunion. A mom says like she can't be there for long. The creature has never like actually eaten full essence, and so it doesn't know what to do with it, so it's gonna like just like either expel it or devour it. I thought it'd be nice if it like expelled it, like because then they would get it back. But she said it's going to destroy her. So she only has a limited amount of time before the creature like does that. So she has a sweet conversation with them. She, tells them that she misses them. She tells Kip that he made the right choice, that he should have brought back Taylor and not her. So it kind of like relieves some of his guilt at the situation. They have like a family hug, and then she disappears. Now, Kip and Taylor basically have a ship, no money. What are they going to do? Well, they're going to go on one more adventure. They're going to kind of keep this like hustling privateer pirating kind of life. So they're going to do like a hyperspeed jump, see where they end up, and try to make the best of it. But they're going to have a third person now, because Jackie, who has been with them for this adventure, is like, do you have room for one more? And so now their crew is complete. They're going to go off and do some more missions. Look, I hope that there are more missions in this. It was, like I said, it had its flaws, had some rough edges, but overall, this is just a really fun movie. I'd be excited to see more adventures from them, and I'd be excited to see what comes next from this whole crew. So that is Space Wars: Quest for the Deep Star. It's coming to theaters on April 21st, 2023, digitally on May 2nd, 2023, and on DVD on May 9th, 2023. So check it out at some point. It is definitely kind of a fun, old school, old feeling type space movie. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.